The sky above the outer colonies was calm and silver blue as evening came to the land. Far away from the busy cities of Earth and the core planets, in a small forgotten settlement on the edge of the wild forest, a 16-year-old human orphan named Jace finished his work at the scrapyard. He was thin but strong from lifting old machine parts every day, with sharp eyes that noticed everything and a quiet mind that liked to think. The others in the colony didn't speak much to him. They said he was strange, always alone, always exploring. Jace didn't care. He liked the forest and the silence, and he liked to fix broken things that night. As the twin moons rose above the trees, Jace heard something strange in the sky. It was a deep rumble followed by a high-pitched sound, like metal tearing. He looked up and saw a bright light moving fast across the clouds, trailing smoke and fire. It was not a meteor, not a satellite, not anything he had seen before. Then came the crash, far but loud, deep in the forest where people didn't go. The ground shook a little under his feet and birds flew from the trees. Jace's heart beat faster. He should go home, sleep, pretend he didn't see it. That's what anyone else would do. But Jace was not like anyone else. He grabbed his jacket and flashlight and started walking into the trees. The forest was thick and dark, full of sounds. Whispering leaves and distant creatures, Jace moved carefully, using paths only he knew. Avoiding dry branches and soft mud, after almost an hour, he saw something glowing between the trees. He moved closer and found a clearing filled with smoke and fire. In the middle of the clearing was a crashed ship, small and curved like a silver teardrop. Its side was torn open, sparks flying from the hole. Jace froze, eyes wide. This was not human technology. The metal looked alive. The symbols on the side were not from Earth. No one had ever seen a ship like this land here. He stepped closer, heart pounding, every part of his mind telling him to run. But curiosity was stronger than fear. He climbed through the broken side, holding his breath, inside. It was quiet and dark, except for a few blinking lights. Strange writing moved across the walls like soft water. Then he heard a sound, low and rough, like someone breathing in pain. He followed it and found something lying on the floor. An alien, old and injured, covered in strange robes and blood. The alien's skin was pale blue, his face long and wrinkled, his eyes closed. He looked peaceful, but weak, like he could die at any moment. Jace had never seen an alien in real life, only in news feeds and old videos. He knew the rules. Aliens were not allowed in this part of space without permission. If anyone found this ship, they would destroy it. And they would kill the pilot. Still, something in Jace's heart told him not to leave. The alien moved slightly and opened one eye, golden and glowing. He looked at Jace without fear, without hate, just quiet hope. Help! The alien whispered in a weak voice. Please. Jace stood there, frozen. He had nothing. No power, no weapons, just a small life in a forgotten place. But in that moment, he felt something more, something bigger. He stepped forward slowly and said, "I'll help you." The alien smiled faintly and closed his eyes again. Trusting him, Jace looked around, saw a small bag on the floor, and picked it up. Then he helped the alien sit up slowly, careful not to hurt him more. He didn't know who this alien was or why he crashed, but he knew one thing clearly. This was not just a random crash. Something important had fallen from the sky tonight. And Jace was now part of it, as he pulled the alien out of the ship and back into the forest. He didn't see the small blinking light behind him. A silent signal was sent into space. Far away, someone received the signal and smiled. "He's alive," the voice said in the dark. "Prepare to move." Jace moved through the forest in the darkness, carrying the weak alien on his shoulder. Each step felt heavier than the last, because the alien was taller and older than he first thought. The forest air was cold and sharp, and the night sounds grew louder, as if the whole world knew. Something unusual had arrived. When Jace reached a small cave he often used as a hiding place, he set the alien down gently. The stranger opened his golden eyes again and looked at Jace with a tired smile. "My name is Vorel," he said, his voice shaking like a wind that had lost its strength. Jace nodded because he was still too shocked to speak. He had saved something from beyond the stars. And he did not even understand why he acted without fear. Vorel tried to sit up, but pain rushed through his body like a wave. Jace quickly placed a blanket under him and checked the wound on his side. It looked strange, almost metallic, as if the skin was partly made of living silver. Jace did not understand alien biology, but he knew the wound was serious. "You helped me without knowing me," Vorel whispered. Jace answered with a small shake of his head. "Anyone would help." Vorel studied him for a moment. "No," he said firmly. "Not anyone outside the cave." A distant engine sound rose through the trees. Jace froze and listened with wide eyes. He recognized that sound because the colony used those machines whenever something unusual happened. Search drones that meant the authorities were already hunting for whatever fell from the sky. Jace moved to the entrance and looked out. Blue lights moved between the trees, scanning the ground. If they reached this area, they would find the cave. If they found the cave, they would find Vorel. And if they found Vorel, he would die. Jace hurried back to him. "You need to stay quiet. The colony guards are searching the forest. They know something crashed." Vorel closed his eyes briefly, but not from fear, more like he expected this. Then he reached for a small metallic device at his side and held it close to his chest. Jace asked what it was, but Vorel did not answer directly. Instead, he said, "This is the one thing I must protect. If it is taken, everything will fall into the wrong hands." Jace did not know what that meant, but he felt the weight of the words. Something very big was hidden behind this strange arrival. The searchlights grew brighter outside. Jace heard voices calling to each other and the soft buzz of scanning beams. His heart raced. He had hidden many things in the forest before: scrap parts, tools, old machines, but never something like this. Never a living alien who trusted him. A shadow passed near the cave. Jace held his breath. The guard stopped only a few steps away. The beam of the scanner hit the rocks and crept closer to the cave mouth. For a moment, Jace felt sure they would be found. But then a chime sounded from the guard device. Negative reading. Nothing alive detected. Continue moving. The search team walked away, and the lights faded into the deeper trees. Jace let out the breath he was holding. Vorel watched him calmly. "You risk much for me?" Jace looked away. "I just did what felt right." Vorel tilted his head. "You say that so easily, but choices like this change the path of a life more than you know." Jace sat across from him, feeling confused. He wanted to ask many questions. Why did Vorel crash? Where did he come from? What was he running from? But the alien closed his eyes again and rested, as if saving strength for something greater. After some time, Jace stepped outside to gather water from a nearby stream. When he returned, he noticed something strange. The small device Vorel guarded so closely was glowing with a soft blue light. Jace touched the cave wall and felt a faint vibration in the air, like an invisible message moving past him. Far beyond the sky, beyond the moons and the quiet stars, a distant figure watched a hologram in a dark room. Signal had reached them, a weak pulse, but clear enough. "Vorel lives," the figure said. "The hunt continues. Send the trackers." Back on Earth, Jace sensed none of this, but he did notice one unsettling thing. A faint footprint near the cave that was not his. Someone else had been close. Someone else had seen or heard him moving in the forest earlier that night. Jace looked down at Vorel, sleeping, weak but safe. He understood now. Saving this alien was not just an act of kindness. It was the beginning of something far larger than he imagined. And danger was already following his steps. The night passed slowly as Jace sat near the entrance of the cave, listening to every sound in the forest. The air felt heavy with something he could not name, not danger exactly, but expectation, like the world was waiting for a new event to unfold. Inside the cave, Vorel rested with uneven breaths. Sometimes he whispered in a language Jace did not understand, soft and musical. yet filled with sorrow. When the alien finally opened his golden eyes again, Jace moved closer. "Are you in pain?" Jace asked. Vorel smiled faintly. "Faintly, pain is a friend I know well. Do not worry, I have lived through worse." Jace felt a strange mix of respect and worry for the fragile being before him. Vorel tried to sit up, his hand moved to the glowing device he protected. Jace wanted to ask again what it was. This time, Vorel did not avoid the question. "This holds a map to something very important," he said. "Not treasure, not power, something far more dangerous and far more needed." Jace frowned. "Then why hide it? Why run?" Vorel looked away and touched the wound at his side. "My people were once united, but greed and fear have broken them. Some want peace, some want control, and those who want control will destroy anyone who stands in their way. I escaped with this device. They want it back. They will follow me anywhere to take it." Jace felt chills on his arms. So the people searching the sky were not the only threat. Something far bigger was moving toward them. Vorel looked at Jace with deep, tired eyes. "I should not have survived the crash. Your help has changed my path, but it has also placed you in danger." Jace shook his head. "I already know danger. I grew up with it. I can handle this." Vorel studied him with quiet admiration. "Humans are always surprising. Your species grows strong in places where others would break." Before Jace could answer, movement echoed outside the cave. The cave darkened as a shadow blocked the faint moonlight. A voice whispered from outside. "Jace, are you in there?" Jace recognized the voice. It was Mara, a girl from the colony, who sometimes traded scraps with him. She was clever and fearless, but also someone who noticed too much. She stepped inside, holding a small lantern. Her eyes widened when she saw Vorel. "Jace, what is that? What did you bring here?" Her voice trembled between fear and shock. Jace stood in front of the alien, trying to protect him. "Please do not shout. He is hurt. He needs help." Mara stared at Vorel, then at Jace. "Do you understand what happens if the guards find him? They will question everyone. They will punish your whole block. This is not small." Jace lowered his voice. "I know, but I could not leave him to die." Mara took a slow breath. Her gaze softened a little. "You always take risks. No one else would." Vorel raised a weak hand. "You have a kind spirit," he told her. Mara stepped back in shock, hearing an alien speak directly to her. Then the glowing device pulsed again. A wave of faint blue light washed across the cave walls. Jace felt the vibration in the air. Just like before, Mara looked frightened. "What was that?" Vorel answered, in a grave tone. "A signal. Someone is searching for me. Someone who knows what this device is." Jace moved to the entrance and looked through the trees. The forest was too quiet. Even the night insects had stopped making noise. A bad sign. Vorel forced himself to sit upright. His voice was heavier now. "The signal I carry cannot be hidden for long. The ones who want me dead are not far. Jace, we must find a safer place. This cave will not protect us." Mara grabbed Jace's arm. "If you go deeper into the forest, you will not return." Jace met her eyes. "If we stay, we will die. We do not have a choice." Vorel leaned on Jace for support for a moment. Jace felt how weak the alien truly was. His strength was nearly gone, yet there was something in him that felt ancient and unbroken, a spirit that refused to fall. As they stepped out of the cave, a cold wind swept across the trees far in the distance. A red light flashed between the branches. "Not from the colony, something stranger, something hunting," Vorel whispered. "They have arrived. We must move now." Jace tightened his grip. Mara swallowed hard. The three of them began to walk deeper into the forest, unaware that the real danger was closing in from two sides. One from the sky and one from the ground, both hungry for the same secret. Vorel carried their journey. Had only begun. The wind felt different as they moved through the deeper forest. It carried a scent that did not belong to Earth. The trees stood tall and silent, as if they were watching the three figures walk beneath their branches. Jace led the way with Vorel leaning against him, and Mara close behind, holding a light that flickered like it wanted to go out. They had walked for hours. The cave was now far behind. But the sense of danger had only grown stronger. Worrell whispered without lifting his head, "They are near. I can feel them." Jace looked back. How many? Worrell paused. Not many, but enough. The silence broke. A distant hum echoed through the forest, low, mechanical, too steady to be natural. Mara turned off the light. Jace pulled Worrell behind a thick tree. They waited in the shadows with breath held tight. Then they saw it. A black drone floated between the trees. Its surface shimmered like glass, and its eyes burned red. It stopped near where they had walked. A panel opened beneath it, and a small device dropped to the ground. Jace stepped out and looked at the object it left behind. It was a tracking node. He had seen one in a vid once. If they kept walking, it would follow their trail. He smashed it with a rock until the lights faded, but he knew more would come. Worrell sat on the ground. His strength was fading faster now. He touched his chest. The signal is too strong. They locked on. When the last pulse went out, Mara looked at Jace. "We cannot run forever. They will catch us." "We need help," Jace thought fast. There was one place, old and broken, but it had walls and power. The abandoned storage yard at the edge of the waste fields. He nodded. "We go there, we hide and rest. Then we decide what to do." They moved again, this time faster. No more talking, only the sounds of footsteps and distant engines growing louder. At the edge of the forest, they reached the old fence. Rusty, falling apart, but still standing inside were large storage containers, some open, some sealed. A few power lines still blinked with weak energy. Jace helped Worrell into one of the containers. There was a bench and a small light. Mara found old blankets and wrapped them around the alien. Worrell looked at both of them. "I owe you more than I can say." Jace shook his head. "We are not done yet." Suddenly a loud voice echoed through the storage yard. "This is a protected zone. Unauthorized lifeforms must surrender." Searchlights turned on from the sky. A ship hovered above, not human, sleek, fast, black as night. Jace ran outside. The ship dropped a figure to the ground, tall, wearing armor that shimmered like moving metal. The figure looked around and then walked straight toward them. Mara grabbed a metal pipe. Jace held a wrench. Both stood in front of the container, ready to fight. The armored figure stopped a few steps away. He removed his helmet. His skin was dark silver, and his eyes glowed white. He looked at Jace. "You are the one who helped him." Jace nodded. "Yes." The alien warrior tilted his head. "Strange. You were not supposed to matter. But now you do." He raised his hand, and a pulse shot out. Jace and Mara dropped to the ground, gasping. Not dead, just stunned. The warrior stepped into the container. Worrell looked up weakly. "You came fast." The warrior nodded. "Your signal was not quiet. The council wants you alive." "But only just." Worrell smiled faintly. "That sounds like them cowards hiding behind threats." The warrior grabbed Worrell's arm. "You are coming with me." Then something unexpected happened. The glowing device on Worrell's chest pulsed with blue light. It scanned the warrior and then spoke in a soft voice. "Unauthorized access defense mode activated." A surge of energy threw the warrior across the room. He slammed into the wall and dropped hard. Jace and Mara shook off the stun and ran inside. Jace helped Worrell stand again. "We are leaving now." Mara looked at the ship above. It was circling. More would come soon. Jace looked at the device. "Can that thing do anything else?" Worrell nodded weakly. "Yes. It can lead us to the only place they fear." "Where is that?" Jace asked. Worrell smiled. "To my hidden ship. Buried where no one dares to go." They ran into the shadows, the night full of red lights, and the hunt far from over. The wind screamed across the fields as Jace, Mara, and Worrell ran from the broken storage yard behind them. The alien warrior began to rise from the ground, armor sparking from the shock above them. The black ship circled like a hawk, ready to strike again. Jace led the way, his mind racing through every path he had ever walked. Every shortcut, every tunnel, every forgotten corner of this land. If they were going to survive, they had to disappear completely. Mara helped Worrell walk, though the old alien was slowing down fast. His legs shook and his breath came in short waves, but his eyes stayed sharp, focused, alive. They reached a dry ravine. Jace motioned for them to go down. He covered their tracks as best he could, using broken branches and dust. Then he slid down to join them. "We cannot stay in the open," he said. "They will send drones. They will send more of those soldiers." Vorel nodded. "There's an old route under this land, a tunnel from when this colony was first built. It leads to the hills. My ship is buried there, but the tunnel is sealed. It needs the chip." Jace looked confused. "What chip?" Vorel touched his chest. "You have it last night when I passed out. I slipped it into your jacket." Jace reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver piece, no bigger than a coin. It was warm to the touch and glowed softly when he held it. "This unlocks your ship, yes, and more than that." Before Jace could ask what that meant, a sharp noise cracked above them. A drone zipped past, scanning the ground. They ducked low behind a fallen tree. The drone stopped mid-air, then changed direction and flew back. Mara whispered, "They are not just searching. They are tracking heat and movement." "We need to move now," Jace said, but carefully they crawled along the edge of the ravine until they reached a rock formation. Behind it was an old access hatch, covered in roots and dirt. Vorel pointed to it there. "That is the tunnel." Jace cleared the hatch and placed the chip against the panel. The door vibrated, then opened with a hiss of old air and rust. Inside was darkness, cold and endless. They entered and sealed the door behind them. The tunnel smelled of dust, and time metal walls stretched into the deep. Flickering lights blinked as if waking from sleep. As they walked, Vorel leaned more on Mara. Jace moved ahead, using a small lamp to guide the path. The tunnel dipped downward, then turned suddenly. The floor shook. A deep sound echoed behind them. Explosions. The entrance was under attack. Jace ran forward. "We need to get to the end before they break through." After what felt like forever, they reached a thick door made of old alloy. Vorel placed his hand on a panel beside it. It scanned his hand, then asked for the chip. Jace gave it to him. The door opened slowly with a heavy, grinding sound. Inside was a chamber filled with machines, lights, and a large object hidden under a cover. Vorel stepped toward it, his body shaking with effort. "This is my escape, my last hope, my home." He touched a control and a cover. Lifted, revealing a sleek silver ship shaped like a blade. Mara gasped. "That was under our feet this whole time." Vorel nodded. "It was placed here in secret, buried. To protect its core, only the rightful key can wake it." Suddenly, the lights turned red. Warning signals echoed in the chamber. "They have found us." The far end of the tunnel exploded. Dust and fire filled the air. Jace grabbed Vorel and pulled him toward the ship. Mara hit the panel, and the door to the ship opened. They rushed inside the ship, hummed with life panels, lit up screens, showed data from systems that had slept for years. Jace sat at the pilot's seat. "I do not know how to fly this." Vorel placed a hand on his shoulder. "You do not need to. The ship knows you now. It will follow your lead." Jace touched the control. The ship lifted from the ground, rising through a hidden launch tunnel. As they flew upward, the chamber below collapsed from more blasts. The ship broke through the ground and rose into the night sky behind them. Enemy ships started to rise. Chasing, firing. Jace held the controls tight. "We are not dying today." The chase had begun, but now they had a ship and a chance. The ship tore through the night sky, rising higher than Jace had ever flown in his life. Clouds streaked past the windows like silver waves below them. Bright blasts followed as enemy ships continued to fire and chase. Jace gripped the controls, even though the ship guided most of the movement on its own. The panels glowed with soft blue light, responding to his thoughts more than his hands. He felt the ship learning him, trusting him, expecting something from him. Vorel sat in the back, breathing unevenly. His wound had worsened. Mara knelt beside him, trying to keep him awake. "Stay with us," she whispered. Vorel opened his golden eyes. "I am here, but time is shorter than I hoped." The ship gave a loud warning tone. Red symbols flashed across the main screen. Jace asked, "What is that?" Mara looked closely. "Someone is trying to lock onto us. A tractor hold, maybe." Vorel raised his hand. "It is not a weapon, it is a signal. Someone wants to speak to us." Before they could stop it, the ship accepted the incoming transmission. A floating hologram appeared in front of them. A tall alien with steel-blue skin and eyes like frozen flame, Vorel straightened in pain. It is him, the one who started the coup, the one who wants the device. The hologram smiled. Vorel, old friend, you survived longer than expected, Vorel replied. You betrayed everything we built. You betrayed our people. You betrayed the unity that kept the stars peaceful. The hologram held no shame. Unity is weakness. Power belongs to those who seize it. And that little device you guard is the final key. Jace stepped forward. Why are you chasing us? The hologram looked at him. Ah, the human child. Unexpected but perhaps useful. That device, he said, pointing to Vorel, contains control codes for the stellar gates. Whoever holds it decides which worlds live or fall. Mara stared at the hologram in shock. You would destroy worlds. Why? Because fear makes obedience. Order grows from fear. And the galaxy must be ordered. Jace felt anger rising through him. Vorel trusted him, and this monster wanted to use such power to crush whole planets. Vorel lifted the glowing device. Even if you capture me, you will not control it. It needs a chosen heir, someone with a heart unbroken by greed. The hologram narrowed his eyes. You chose a human boy. Ridiculous, he is nothing. A scrap orphan. Jace felt the words hit him, but Vorel smiled. He is more than you see. Humans endure, they grow, they rise from nothing, exactly what this galaxy needs. The hologram raised a hand. Enough. Surrender the ship or be destroyed. The feed cut off and the enemy ships drew closer. Their engines burned like red suns behind them. Jace looked at Vorel. Tell me the truth. Tell me what I am supposed to do. Vorel placed the device in his hands. This contains the core of my legacy. Not money, not weapons, knowledge. Hope haths to free worlds from tyrants. If I fall, you must carry it. But why me? Jace asked softly. Why trust someone with nothing? Vorel touched his arm gently, because those with nothing understand value better than those who have everything. A loud explosion rocked the back of the ship. Mara grabbed the rail. They hit us. We cannot keep running. Jace stared at the horizon. A memory sparked back. When he worked in the scrapyard, he learned how old engines reacted under stress. How sudden reversals could overload tracking locks. He whispered to the ship, listen to me. Do what I think, not what I press. The ship pulsed in response, as if ready. Jace pulled sharply into a dive. The enemy ships followed. He swung right, then left, forcing them to tighten formation. Then he triggered a sudden engine reversal. Energy blasted outward. The shockwave hit the enemy ships, and their systems flickered. One spun out of control, another lost altitude and dropped. Mara shouted. Jace, that was insane. He breathed hard. It worked. Though but one enemy ship remained the strongest one, the leader Vorel stood with shaking legs. I will distract them. Use the next move to escape. Jace refused. No, we stay together. Vorel smiled sadly. You carry the legacy now. Even if I fall, my mission lives, my people live. Before he could speak again, the ship lights dimmed. A new signal appeared on the screen. A soft voice from the ship's AI destination located Sanctuary Point reached. Prepare for descent. Mara looked confused. Where are we going? Vorel whispered to the heart of the truth, to a place no enemy dares to enter. My final refuge outside the stars. Shifted. The ship angled downward toward a hidden world Jace had never seen. A world that held answers and danger. The real battle was close now, closer than he knew. The ship descended into the shadow of a dead moon, hiding a secret below its silent surface world, cloaked in energy that bent light and masked signals. No one from the outside could see it, no enemy could track it. Jace stared through the window as mountains of silver and black stretched below them, vast valleys filled with ancient structures covered in vines and glowing symbols. Mara leaned forward in awe. This place is not on any map. Not even in restricted files. Sat quietly watching the land of his past return to view. This was once the heart of knowledge and peace. Now only echoes remained. Ship landed near a tower, with smooth stone walls and a door made of shifting light. Jace stepped out first, feeling the ground beneath him hum softly. The planet itself was alive in some way, breathing, waiting. Vorel placed a hand on Jace's shoulder. Here is where you must decide. The device you hold is more than a key. It is a voice. It can unlock paths to freedom or close them forever. The weight in his hands felt heavier than metal. It was history. It was future. Mara walked beside him. What happens if we activate it here, Vorel? The gates will respond. Systems across the stars will awaken. Messages will spread. The truth will reach every planet, and those who seek control will be exposed. But there is risk. Once activated, the enemies will know the stronger, harder than before. Jace looked at the tower, then at the device, then at the sky. I am just a scrap kid from a forgotten colony. But I have seen what power does in the wrong hands, and I know what it means to live without hope. He walked to the door. The device lit up in his hand. The light door opened silently. Inside was a chamber with walls made of stars. Floating symbols moved like waves. At the center was a pedestal waiting for the key. Jace stepped forward, Mara and Vorel behind him. He placed the device on the pedestal. Everything stopped. The air held still. The stars on the walls froze. Then a pulse, a deep sound, moved through the ground. The symbols glowed brighter. The sky outside shifted, hidden. Old machines buried in planets turned on across distant worlds. People looked up as the skies lit with ancient signs. In silence they watched and they listened. A voice spoke, clear, powerful, across every system, across every language. This is not the age of fear. This is not the time for silence. The gates belong to all. Freedom belongs to all. Then the light dimmed, the voice faded, the silence returned. Jace stood, breathing slowly. The chamber no longer held weight. The choice was made. Vorel stepped forward. You have done what I could not. You gave the galaxy a new voice, and in doing so, you gave me peace. He lowered himself onto one knee. His body finally too weak to carry on. Mara ran to his side. Jace knelt down. Vorel looked at them both. My time ends, yours begins. Take the ship, take the map. You are the legacy now. His eyes closed and the hum of his life faded. Jace placed a hand over Vorel's for the first time since he was a child. He cried not from pain but from purpose. Mara stood. We cannot stay here. They will come. Jace rose. Not as a scrap boy, but as something more. They carried Vorel back to the ship, laid him in the center chamber, and prepared to fly again. This time not to escape, but to lead, as the ship lifted from the hidden world. Jace looked back one last time. The stars above seemed brighter now, not because they had changed, but because he had. Across the galaxy, enemies watched and allies listened. The gates had opened, and the message was clear. The Orphan was no longer silent. The Orphan was the beginning, and the war for freedom had just begun.